All right, let's get right into it. We need to talk about this huge paradox that sits right at the heart of Africa's healthcare system. And, this isn't a story about not having enough medicine. It's a story about a massive, profound lack of visibility. This is what we call hospital blindness.
So to really get this, I want you to picture something. Imagine two different hospitals, right? They're on the same continent, and this is all happening in the very same week. In one hospital, there's a shelf that is just overflowing with medicine. But in the other, a patient is being told that the exact same medicine is completely out of stock. I mean, that's just how absurd this situation is. It's a contradiction that is literally playing out every single day, creating a crisis that's almost totally invisible to the rest of the world. So you have to ask, right? How is that even possible? It just seems completely illogical. How can you have way too much of something and a critical shortage of the exact same thing all at once? Well, let's unpack how a system can even let this happen.
Now, your first instinct might be to think, oh, it's a funding problem. We just need to buy more medicine. But the truth is, the whole system is just flying blind. And you can't fix blindness by just pumping more fuel into the plane. It doesn't work. And let's put a real number on this waste, because it's staggering. In some of these supply chains, up to 50%, that's half of all medicines just go unused. Think about that. Half the budget, half the potential to heal, just expiring on a shelf. It's an absolutely huge loss. And here's the flip side of that exact same coin. While half the medicines are expiring over here, in those same areas, stockout rates for essential drugs can be over 30%. That means 1 out of every 3 times, a patient could be told the medicine they desperately need just isn't there. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They translate into a devastating human impact. This is about people getting their treatments delayed, families being forced to spend money they just don't have, and tragically, people dying from conditions that should be completely treatable. So even with governments and donors pouring more money into the system, the shortages keep happening. Why? Well, it's because we've been trying to solve the wrong problem. This has never been a funding failure. It is, at its core, a data failure. And this is the root cause right here. Each hospital, each pharmacy, is basically operating in its own little bubble. They're guessing what to order. They're reacting to shortages only after they're already happening. There's no shared intelligence. The system, quite simply, cannot see itself. So, if the problem is blindness, then the solution has to be giving the system sight, right? So let's take a look at the infrastructure that's being built to create a new connected reality for healthcare in Africa. And this is where AfriFarm Health comes in. And I want to be really clear, they're not just another app or some kind of marketplace. They are literally building the foundational infrastructure to connect the entire pharmaceutical network, turning all those isolated dots into one smart, cohesive system. The heart of their solution is what they call the Pharmacy Partner Network, or PPN. The best way to think about it is like a digital nervous system. It connects all these verified pharmacies and gives every single member real-time visibility into stock levels, demand, and even pricing. It's the groundwork for connected care. And once you have that connectivity, everything changes. I mean, it is a monumental shift. It moves the entire healthcare system away from that old, broken model of just guessing and reacting, and into a new era of making smart, predictive, data-driven decisions. And you can really see the transformation right here. On the left, you have the old way, isolated, reactive, which leads to expired drugs. But now, with the PPN on the right, you have network visibility, data-informed decisions, and optimized distribution. The guesswork is just gone. And listen, the PPN is just the start. It's the foundational layer that then connects to hospital networks, emergency services, even virtual care platforms. The whole goal is to move beyond just one-off fragmented transactions and create real continuity of care for every patient. And at the end of the day, that's the real prize here. When drug data can flow freely and intelligently across a network, you can finally build a healthcare system that can actually scale. Prescriptions line up with what's really in stock, and most importantly, patient outcomes get better. Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why. But to really, truly understand how this incredibly complex infrastructure works, you just have to see it in action. And we want to give you a front row seat for that. We've spent this time talking about this massive system failure. So this week, we're going even deeper. We are going to unpack the actual infrastructure that is solving this problem right now. And we're doing it live. So you're going to want to mark your calendars. We're going live on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. It's happening at 11 a.m. Central African Time, which is 9 a.m. UTC.
To join us, it's super simple. Just head over to our company events profile on LinkedIn and you can register right there. Trust me, you are going to want to be in the room for this conversation. I'll leave you with this one final thought. Just imagine, what would really change if every single pharmacist in Africa had the power to see what was on every other shelf? Think of the waste we could stop, the inefficiencies we could find, and the lives that could be saved. That's the future this infrastructure is making possible.